No, not yet. Now,
Hey
now.
everybody, welcome to The Good Life, episode 32. We've got Chris here, Kobi, and myself. Topic for tonight that we came up with in the pregame for those interested. That's where we figured this out. So in the pregame, we determined that we're going to get into like binary labeling, generalizations, and all the assumptions that come with that. How we oversimplify like all these different boxes and try and have everyone fit into their own set of boxes or one box in particular. What does that mean? What does that do? What are some of the problems that could come about because of that? So to kick it off, who'd like to start here?
I elect Kobi.
Second. I second that motion.
As they say in Francais. All right, guys, listen up. So, I mean, this is a really cool topic, especially as it comes to health. And I'm going to keep the scope small for this discussion because I think there's a lot of perspectives we could look at health-wise, whether it's from the physical training aspect of it, whether it's from the dietary food consumption aspect of it, whether it's from other practices that aren't even discussed, right? In terms of maintaining energy levels. So the things like things that we don't typically hear about or talk about, like urine therapy, for example, or semen retention, or any like more specific practices.
Bro, wait, whoa.
You're not ready.
You're not just gonna fly past that one and throw it out like those things are not. Hold on.
You're not ready.
I was asking Kobi about this the other day, man. This one kind of got me, bro.
Guys, listen, there are so many health practices that have died with our ancient knowledge. Urine therapy is definitely one of them. And Stu, I have been looking a lot closer, and it's something I already knew about and knew like the benefits of. It's something I just haven't worked up the
stomach for
mitigated gall here to chug it up.
I'm very confused.
Wait, what was in that jar?
Yeah, I'm really confused right now. I don't know.
Yo, Kobi, what's the high level to inform? I can't say it. I can't say it. I just can't.
No, for real. Like help us. Urine therapy, like therapy.
Yeah.
By taking it in.
So let me say this. To begin to even understand urine therapy, you got to understand the salts of salvation, and you've got to understand. And that's a book, by the way, you can look up and read. Salts of Salvation. I've mentioned it before on the show. Salts of Salvation. Check it out. Especially if you're a believer. Was that piss? Especially if you're a believer. We'll give our first shirt to anybody that guesses.
Oh,
shout out Philip.
We don't know what that was, Philip, man. To be honest, though, we really don't.
Urine therapy, baby. It works wonders. Urine therapy is actually, I believe, a critical part of how Dr. Sebi cured herpes, amongst other things. Listen, this is not the episode for this. I'm even sorry I mentioned it. You guys go ahead, look it up, but just know it is a thing, and the basis of it is salt of salvation. In that we're basically pillars of salt, essentially, right? And if you have all of these things that are continuously leaving your body, right? Your body then has to either create a new batch, or it's losing things that it needs because it's not able to absorb it. Right? So it's secreting things. We say it's waste, but it's really your body's, some of it is waste, sure, but it's really your body getting rid of things that it could not absorb. Right? So then it's a question of, do you put it back? Do you just keep it in? And do a lot of that stuff as well. Totally besides the point here. The main point which you're going back to, guys, is and there is actually it's that piss. message me and I'll send you a page of a guy that you should check out, and you should buy some Got Pissed t-shirts.
Really? That's hilarious.
Yeah, yellow Got Pissed t-shirts.
Too much. Too much.
Guys,
How
this
hydrated or dehydrated is the color of the yellow on this t-shirt?
Oh, I'd say it's about it's yellow, bro. It's real yellow. It's like
It's real yellow?
it's more yellow than corn.
Oh man.
Yeah.
How did we get here? How did we get here? How did we get here? I'm
trying to take us back to the top where we were talking about labels, and how it can be helpful, but it can also be very limited, right? Because we label let's say dietary, we put it that, right? I'm a vegetarian. I'm an herbivore. I'm an omnivore. I am a carnivore. I am a keto. I am blah, 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 blah. Guys, the problem with all of those labels is one, the benefit is that it helps you quickly communicate your preferences to the public, which is really what it is, right? Wait, go. And if you don't believe this, go sit at a table at a restaurant and refuse meat. Just to be like, oh, I'm not eating. Are you a vegetarian? Are you vegan? Have you right? And just watch the questions start to freaking roll in, right? People just are mind boggled, right? And so I've been in a situation where it's like you just say yes, just to move the thing along. Yeah, I'm vegetarian. Yeah, I'm vegan. Okay, all right, whatever. Oh, okay, he's vegan. The flip side of that though is watch them see you eat meat later. It's almost like you lie to their soul, right? It's almost like you just like you're done. So this really stops a lot of people from doing and taking on health practices that could be extremely beneficial for a period of time, or as part of the whole, not necessarily as like, this is how I live. Oh, I was vegan for 7 years and then you just stopped loving animals. That's what that was. You were done. They weren't cute anymore. You're now cool to eat them. See, it doesn't make sense at the end of the day. It doesn't really make sense. But it's to avoid this like harsh treatment that we put on labels, right? Once you declare yourself a label, even if you don't, you either are in confusion, a state of constant confusion, right? Or you box yourself in so that you can never try anything ever again in life, or otherwise you're a hypocrite. I think it's not helpful. It's not helpful to us getting healthy, right? It's not, because you have to explore. You have to seek. You have to test your body. You have to see, I don't know. I've never eaten meat for a year. I don't know. Maybe that's the move, right? I have eaten meat for 20 something years, so I know it's not the move for me, but maybe it is for you. I don't know. Okay. Should I be keto? Should I be vegan? I don't know. I don't know. That's the truth of the matter. I don't know until I know all of the variables, or at least a large amount of the variables that you're considering and where you want to go. That's where I'll start off.
It's so funny because the reason why we talk this and we do this is because this parallels in all of the areas that we deal with. Everything that you just said could be 100%. I could just put into financial language, right? Most people come to me on some like, what's the investment? Where should I put the money so I can get to that place and do this? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know your disposition for risk. I don't know how long you're going to be at your job. I don't know if you ever plan on branching out and starting a business. I don't know if you need 2 million for your retirement lifestyle. Like, I don't know that answer, right? There's no magic quick thing that I can give you until I understand where you want to be, what the goal is. I remember hearing this from, it might've been a Steve Jobs quote or something like that. Was it Steve Jobs? It might've been Steve Jobs. I can't remember, but he was basically saying that like, no, it was Bezos. It was Jeff Bezos saying something along the lines of like, you can't, you have to be very stubborn with your vision, but you have to be very flexible with like your path to get there, right? So being very stubborn with your vision in each of these areas, in what you feel or who you are in your health, in your wellness, in your financial life, in your mindset, in your relationships, who you are. You have a vision for that, and you can stay stubborn to that vision. But the path of how you get there, you have to test. You have to try. You have to take some risks. You have to say, I don't know how that works with my body. Let me try it out. I'm not sure how this investment would work out for me because it's a little bit higher risk. I don't know how I would feel to be a landlord versus look at just fixing and flipping, right? I don't know how it would feel, but let me go down that path, because if this is something that could get me to that vision, then I'll keep doing it. So I think we just have to be mindful of that like it's not I have to go this path and this is the only way to get to that end result. The end result is great that you have, but know that there's tons of different ways to get there. Your ability to be flexible is really going to determine I think your ability to actually get there. You know what I mean?
For sure. The flexibility piece, man. You guys are tapping on like the idea of trial and error. Like you want to figure stuff out, like try different things. And like Kobi was kind of getting at, and Chris as well, the more you label yourself, like I am going to be all in on, I don't know, 401ks. I'm going to be all in on keto. I'm going to like all these different types of things. You're literally boxing yourself in and taking choices away from yourself. So be aware of that. I think on the mental health side, the labels that always really bother me are the ones that are passed on by licensed professionals, and there are great ones out there for sure. But here's a problem with just labeling somebody with a certain diagnosis. If you tell somebody like, man, you have ADHD, okay, so attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So you're telling me that it's going to be tough to focus and I'm going to have a lot of movement associated. If you really stop and think about it, every single, like not every single, but almost every like little kid is going to be like wanting to run around and not necessarily focus in the classroom. Then you slap a label on them, potentially give them some type of medicine so that you're tampering with their brain so they can focus a little bit more. Now all of a sudden this kid grows up and they feel dependent on this medicine, or they feel like something is wrong with them because this label has been passed on to them. And in reality, it's like the human condition. Who do we not know that struggles to focus on things? I mean, the three of us probably have our own challenges with that, even with the stuff we've accomplished. Like it's still going to come up. Sure. We're really not designed to sit behind a desk and just focus on one thing. Like you got to get creative. So labels in like the mental health field, I think are, very, very damaging at times. I think it'd be much better if they were to simply discuss with individuals like, hey, in situations like this, perhaps you may fall under some of these categories from time to time. But at the end of the day, we really don't know everything about you. This is the best guess based on research applied to a general population. So I get very, very anxious when I hear somebody coming to me and they're saying, hey, I'm this, this, and this. What can you do for me? It's like, well, first we're going to start by you not telling yourself you're this, this, and this 100% of the time. Let's get rid of this generalization.
Man, Stu, I think we can highlight what you just said there, because I think that's a huge, huge, huge problem. Huge problem, right? We're dealing with and Stu, I wouldn't even hear you dive in a little bit deeper, man, because I think it's that important that we're hearing so many individuals that are so quick to tell you what they are. Right. So they take a temporary diagnosis. They take a temporary state. They take a temporary situation and they label it as like a piece of their identity forever. Right. Forever. Right. And it's such a huge problem. I think, it's really important. And I always push back on this. I'm that guy. I always push back on this. Well, I'm just this. Right? Or that's just the way I am. Stop with that garbage. No, it's not. You don't even know who you are. You don't even know who you are. You really don't. I am fill in the blank. Be very careful what you put in that blank, right? Be very, very careful, because some of the largest drug dealers on earth are legal. They're not walking around hiding from the law. They're sponsored by the law. They're backed up by the law. They're the biggest drug dealers we have on earth, right? Pablo looking at them like, how'd y'all do it? Seriously, like no joke. They're looking out like, man, y'all really figure this thing out. And you legal? Oh my goodness. No extradition? God, what? Right? Pablo's trying to take tips from these psychiatrists and these doctors out here, just straight handing out slips. Just blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, you're X. Here's the solution. You're X. Here's this solution. Let's be careful, guys. Let's be careful what you label yourself, right? Especially as it comes to your health, especially as it comes to your mental. Because I can't tell you how many kids are out here, right? And we don't consider that maybe it's all the system altering man-made drugs that we literally force into their body at a rapid rate within the first few years of their lives. And we're shocked that anything ever goes wrong. How? How can we be shocked that anything ever goes wrong? And Stu, what I really loved about what you said is that, like, what kids you know that's not active? That's a problem. Right. You have a kid that's not active, man, that's when you should be concerned, right? I can't tell you how many classrooms I've been in, and you guys know I was a teacher for a bit, and also been a student for a really long time, right? So I'm looking through the classrooms. I can't tell you how quick the system is to label these kids. They're so quick, super quick.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Why? The question is why?
Because it's I got a theory about this.
Go ahead, bro.
I think it's way easier to label a kid as a troublemaker and hand him a pill, and then for whatever happens going forward, oh, the meds aren't working, turn it up. Oh, the meds are working too much now, turn them down. Like you basically take all the blame and ownership over a teacher controlling the classroom. And they're like, that kid, oh, he's bad egg. Get that guy a pill. Like it's way easier to deflect all that, rather than that teacher actually pulling that kid aside. And instead of having this one has come up so much in the last week. Instead of having a conversation around a conflict where it's you're doing this, you're making this noise in class, you're running around, you're disrupting the others. It's like, hey, by the way, what's up? Because like these are like, this is the environment we're trying to cultivate here. Like, what do you need to thrive? Like, what can we do? But instead, I feel like these conversations become very accusatory. So one thing I always go with my clients is like, hey, during conflict, do not use the word you. Don't use it. Like the entire conversation should be spotlighted on how you are interpreting the situation, not it's me versus you. And when you start using you in that second person a lot, man, it boils in there. Curious to hear.
I just have another question that came to mind just thinking about this topic. Is school the only place that kids get diagnosed? Because
absolutely not.
Where else do kids get diagnosed? Like ADHD and when it hits a parent's radar? I'm genuinely curious, right? Like who does that diagnosis, right? Like who does, like, where
school is the number one place.
Yeah,
no question. Because school is what starts everything, right? School is what, okay, this person needs to go see this doctor who just so happens to work with all of our other kids, by the way. Right? And school is number one, but I would say it's anywhere where kids do not behave as we adults expect them to behave, right? It literally anywhere, right? Whether they're running around in church, right? I've seen that too. Right, whether they're name the group gathering that they're not behaving like they should, right? We don't consider for a second that maybe the environment isn't right, right. And we've got when they're no longer controllable. Thank you, Yaya. And Yaya would know a lot. Yaya, you put in the chat real quick. You PhD or you higher than PhD? I don't know what's higher, but I know you got them degrees and you work with kids, so that's as far as I remember. But it's madness. We don't consider for a second there that maybe the school environment isn't right for all our kids.
Right.
Maybe it isn't. I don't know. right? Maybe a really active, and let me use myself here. Maybe a really active, like super energetic, right? School psychologist, master's, and oh my goodness, y'all read that yourself, qualified, right? And maybe it's a situation where this kid needs something else. Maybe this kid needs more activity in their day. Maybe they shouldn't be sitting. How many adults that can sit for as long as kids do?
Exactly.
In school.
Exactly.
It's crazy to me.
That was the essence of my question, really getting to the bottom of it, of like, because you guys know my standpoint, my viewpoint. Like, I'm trying to keep my daughter out of traditional education her entire time, like her entire life. So I was just thinking, like, okay, well, my daughter's hyperactive at 6 years old or 7 years old because she's running all around the grass in the yard. Like, is that a red flag for me? Right? Like, is that a red flag where I'm like, I don't know if she learns properly.
Nah, man.
Right? So, like, literally, if that's not my natural thought, then it's something wrong with the environment. It's something wrong with the person telling me that that's wrong, that that's a problem. Like, no, maybe you're the problem, right? Maybe like your label is the problem, right? Like that's the big part. And I really think that a lot of this stuff comes down back to our education system. 32 episodes of these, you guys have heard us talk about the good old education system and its flaws. But again, one of those areas is just that it's not really helping. It's putting labels on our children. I think most of our labels growing up come from school, come from some form of education, authority figure teaching you, coaching you, right? It comes from that. And that's where we get our labels. And so, maybe that's the place to pay attention, ladies and gentlemen, right? Maybe it's the institutions, it's the education system. It's not what's happening to our kids. It's what are they learning? Who's diagnosing this type of stuff? I think we have to get to some of these roots.
And I would add too, man, I think educating some of our parents, and I would say maybe we can't do all parents, but I really think it is disproportionate in certain communities. I just think, as I saw how my brother, my brother is one of these students where I saw how he was boxed in so early and consistently until he switched schools and found a completely different environment, right? So my brother went to the same school I graduated from, and my parents are thinking, oh man, this is the best situation you could possibly put these kids in, etc. I, for the longest time, told my parents that, listen, I was able to handle that environment because of what I've been through before. I had those skills in place. My brother, putting him in that environment is a terrible idea. Why is it a terrible idea? He didn't have a single role model on campus until I got there as a teacher, right? Not one who could look him in the eye and could relate to his situation and speak to his situation. Not one on campus, right? Yet everybody on campus was quick to label my brother as troublemaker, hardhead, didn't listen, whatever the labels were, ADHD, has attention pain, all right, put him on this med, right? To the point where I had a real problem with my parents because I was like, why are you quick to listen to these people?
Right.
Well, because they have degrees and authority, blah, 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 right? They know blah, 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 right? But I was in that situation as a Black male from my particular household, and I knew how this situation was. And I knew the thing for my brother was to switch environments and to find some role models that he could look up and say, hey, Mr. X actually understands my situation. Or I could go to Mr. Y and Mr. Y can speak directly to me. And guess what? Calms him down, right? So he doesn't need those drugs to calm him down. He actually just needed somebody to hear him. He actually just needed somebody to be like, man, I get it. Home life is tough and you don't have anybody to talk to. You can come here and talk to me. right? I get you don't want to do your work because you want somebody to just listen to you, right? And hear why you don't feel like doing your homework, right? Right? Because you're tired from track. Okay, got it, right? None of that was present. But what was quick? Oh yeah, we'll pay for him to go see this person who works with all of our other students, by the way. All right, we'll pay for him to go see this person and get on this drug. Oh, it's working now because he's zombified throughout the day. He's not him. When my brother took those drugs, I looked my brother in the eye. He was not him. That was not my brother. That was some zombie form of my brother, right? So at what point, how do you get to the parents? Because I couldn't even get to my parents. Be like, yo, y'all know we literally come from a totally different system, right? Where people weren't that quick to put it, but my parents come here, right? And they've adopted that mindset, right? They've taken on that, you call it whatever you want. I call it colonial mindset, right? Whereas these people with white coats and also happen to have white skin have all the answers. They have all the answers. They're quick to prescribe, quick to quick. But they don't have an understanding of what is it that this young man is dealing with. They don't even care. Not that they don't care, but they don't have it in their training. They're not trained to think like that.
Right.
I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm saying I see a lot of really good people get corrupted by the system. They want to help. They see what's going on with the kids. They want to help. But to help and make money, they got to go through the system. And coming out of the system, they're not the same individuals.
Yeah, I think the intent can be there, but like you said, once you get brainwashed into thinking that this is the solution, it's this product, now all of a sudden the attention does not go on what is this person actually trying to say and communicate. What's unique about them? It's, oh, I remember this. Okay, I go to this page and I look at this table and I give you this pill. It's very Black Mirror-y. I don't know if you guys have seen that show.
Very.
It's just so gross. It's like, can we just like listen to this person and have them talk it out? So many people come to me trying to get off of drugs. They're like, I don't like feeling this way anymore. Like, that's what they gave me when I was super unstable, and maybe it served a purpose then. But now I have no energy or motivation to do anything. I just feel so sedated. And it's because they are literally sedated, zombified, as you mentioned. How do you try and create your own path if the moment you wake up, you're under the influence of a drug, and the moment you go to bed, you're still under that influence? Oh, wait, it's okay if it's prescribed, but it's not okay if it's served at a bar. It's not okay if it's, just grown in the ground. It's got to be your solution. And then it's okay, even though it could be an opioid. That's cool. It's kind of close to heroin. It's all good.
Yeah, all good. And you can't go after them anyway. They're good. They're legally taken care of as of last week. They're good. Right? Largest producers of opioids they're good. Nothing, right? When you have a drug that's being pushed and peddled as much as some of these drugs are being pushed, and then something happens and I can't hold anybody responsible for it, that gives me a cause to pause. Sorry, call me what you want to call me. It just gives me cause to pause. That's what it does for me. It makes me just hit. I got a pause button somewhere around here. It makes me just hit that button like 20 times and be like, something ain't right here. It's not right, right? You got the opiate situation that just went out of bonkers for however long it's going on. And who knows, it might still be going on, but we don't talk about it anymore, right? And you can't hold anybody responsible for that. Not the drug dealers that are out here with the white coats signing slips, right, and giving them out. You can't hold them responsible for it. Nope. Not the producers of the drug. You can't hold them responsible. Nope. So take it at your own risk. Oh, okay, got it. Now we're going to force you to take it at your own risk, because that's what a lot of these kids are being done. I'm not talking about the current situation, right? I'm talking about kids who are being forced by their parents and by the freaking cartel, including their parents, right? The teachers, the psychiatrists, the doctors that run other. right? What is that kid going to do? Not take that drug? Fight it? I've heard of kids that fight it. It doesn't go very far. All right. This is, like that's terrifying to me. These kids are being forced to take this stuff, regardless of what feedback they give. My brother, it doesn't make me feel right. I feel all weird when I take it. Well, what is weird? Oh, he says he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's just weird. I'm like, no. The dude just told you he feels weird taking it. Why are we forcing this? And I think it's a real problem. And that's the problem of putting these labels on and putting certified labels on. Labels that are approved by the system, approved by the so-called healers in our society, approved by those in power, approved by all these things. When it comes to the kids, man, I really feel pretty bad. I really do.
Yeah. But I think you gave the solution, man. We got to get to the parents. Right? We got to get to the people that are forcing those children to be in that situation, right? And I always think from a parent's perspective, how could you do that? It's obviously because you feel like this is the best thing or the only thing can potentially help your child. It's because you're undereducated. The parent's undereducated about what to do. Remember, you would always say things could be like, we give away our power. We give away our power to the white coats. We give away our power to the medical industry. Parents really have given away their power over their children's well-being and what they feel like is best. They've given that power to teachers, to administration at schools, to doctors, to all these people, because they're undereducated and or just don't want to take the time or lack of resources. I'm sure we could point to a million different things as to why a parent wouldn't take responsibility for their, child's well-being all across the board. But a lot of this is going to come down to education. I'm sure in the minds of those parents that are having their children get on medication, it's for a reason that they think actually will help. Oh, this is going to help them calm down so they can learn better, so that they can be smarter, so that they can go to college, so that they can get a job, right? Like parents play these things all the way out and they think that actually is the thing. Like if they don't take this and they're getting in trouble at school and they can't pay attention, then they're going to get called out of work. Like people go through all these mental places as to the reason why they're going to let their child take that medication or why they think that's the best decision. And we have to find a way to get to parents and get to people that are in these authoritative positions to say, let's educate you about what's happening, about how to really take ownership of all of your child's life. And we're just talking about children. I say the same thing on the financial side, guys. Honestly, I've had this debate with a lot of people. I have a lot of connections, especially on LinkedIn in the financial literacy space, but specifically the children's financial literacy space. And what I would always say and kind of have conversations with these people is I would say, like, you can go after the children, but I'm going to go after the parents, because we could teach the kids all day long. If they go back and their parents tell them a different message, they're going to listen to their parents, right? The parents get the final say. So let's go deal with the parents. And that's where I would attack. That would be my mission. And so it sounds like the same thing that we're talking about tonight, right? How do we start to break down so we can not have children have labels at an early age or buy into those labels or create that fixed mindset early off where they start saying things like, this is just who I am, or this is just how I was raised, or whatever people start saying. But we got to start affecting where they're hearing that message. A lot of times it's in the household, it's from the parents,
Amen. While we're talking about going after the parents, I guess something to toss out there for parents to consider. What do you think the psychological impacts are on your kids when you continuously make them consume something that they don't want to consume? I'm not talking about fruits and veggies here, although I do think there's probably some tact to that should be considered. But when you raise a child to just say, look, I don't really care what you have to say right now. This is what this random stranger said you need to ingest. So do it. what do you think? How do you think they're going to grow up? They're going to grow up thinking that their voice doesn't matter, that they don't have control over what goes into their own body. Man, that sounds super similar to these times. So I really do want people to consider, like, you look, this may be a pay attention at school issue. Yeah, I think they're absolutely right. Philip just kind of mentioned, like, there is going to be some type of negative charge that your kid has towards life, towards you guys. Like, the more stuff you make them do that they're not on board with, the just be ready. Like, the rubber band thing that I mentioned earlier, people do snap. They do. And as soon as somebody feels like everything that they have to say doesn't matter, you're still going to have to do what you're told. Man, that is not a very empowered life. You are setting themselves up to believe that they don't have a choice. So just something to be wary of. And there was another comment, Chris, that you brought back to the table. Oh yeah, the narrative and generalizations. So to bring this to like an adult perspective for a moment, I still have people who are, 40 plus years in age dealing with labeling themselves as I'm just a super negative person. Like, I'm sorry, please don't mind me. It's like, no, man, like, we need to dig into that, because you're labeling yourself as a negative person, which means you're going to see things and further this belief and continue this idea that you're a negative person. So whatever happens to you, you're gonna react to it negatively, and you're gonna build that in. You're gonna continue to reinforce this idea that you're a negative person. Focus on changing it from labels and generalizations to, from time to time, I feel like I have a negative reaction to this, because that will reinforce to you that it's not 100% of the time. I don't think anybody would even be on this planet if 100% of the time their response was negative. Absolutes don't exist here. Like, please just watch your word choice and watch how you self-label yourself, watch how your kids get labeled. And just remember, like, if you start telling somebody that they have to do stuff and what they say does not matter in the decision-making process, how's that going to affect the rest of their life?
Totally. I'm gonna throw in my 2 cents really quick, just about something that popped in my head, because as a parent, it's really important. I understand the power of language. Me and my wife had to have this conversation. I'm sure she wouldn't mind me being transparent about it. But we had a conversation about the words we speak.
I like to wash my hands clean of whatever a person's about to say.
Put it on the record now, right? So when they review the footage, could be is anyway. But had this conversation about the words that we speak over our daughter, and our daughter was going through a little bit of a phase, I don't know, 8-9 months ago, maybe 10 months ago, where she would meet people, or we would interact with people, and she would get very like close to us and kind of like shy or clingy a bit, and she wouldn't speak up. And that wasn't always her way, right? She would speak to people, or like when we would say, hey, say hi, she would say hi. But then she got to this place where she would just be like, she would get behind us or get around our leg and kind of get really shy. And my wife used to always say to the person to kind of cover it up, oh, she's just shy. Oh, she's just shy. Oh, she's just shy. And I had to stop her, like, probably, a month or two in, where I was like, listen, babe, we got to stop saying that, because she's not. And she hears you. So you're speaking that over her, right? Mm-hmm. So like she may think that that's what she is. And she heard it from her parents saying like, oh, she's just shy, right? Like, and now all of a sudden she adapts this as something that she feels like she is, and she's really not, because she communicates with other people. And that was just one of those instances where we had to really look at our language, right? And really attack that and be aware and intentional about the language that we start to say, right? And we start to speak over our kids or speak in our household. I don't think enough people really pay attention to that type of stuff, because that's how we create these labels. That's how they happen. It's unintentional from parents or authority figures that are just telling them and speaking normally, but it's putting a label, putting a child in a box to say, this is who you are. Like when you tell your child over and over again that they're lazy, oh, stop being so lazy. Oh, you're lazy. Oh, you're so, like, that is a label you're putting on them, so that they feel like, that's the reason why they're this way. That's the reason why they don't do this. So it's really important, again, back to the parents. Got to start having better conversations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 1,000. I think that's a really great point. Thanks for sharing that from the parent perspective, Chris. I think Speaking of word choice here, I want to almost backtrack a little bit, and I don't think it's an education of the parents. I actually think it's an unlearning that has to occur, because I think they actually have been educated in this direction, right? So they have been educated to think, to give ultimate responsibility over their health and their children's health to white coats, right? That's something we're all trained to do, and that's by design. Okay, that is the design of the American Medical Association, to make sure that mentally that reverence is given to white coats. And again, guys, don't get me wrong here. Don't try to box me into nothing. Don't try to label me into nothing. Because listen to what I'm saying here. I can't expect a parent to then turn around and behave differently when it comes to their kid. That doesn't seem logical to me, right? So I think it's an unlearning and a relearning that has to take place with our parents. And maybe you get them right around when they get the kid, or you get them younger. I don't know when you get them, but you gotta get them some point in time, because it's beat in. It really is. And so at that point, you're fighting an uphill battle, because you're telling a parent how to raise their kid, which to me is a very tough situation to be in. And that's not the situation I want to be in, for sure. I'm not here trying to tell anybody how to raise their kid, right? So I want to give you the information for yourself, so you feel it before you pass all of that on to the parent, right? Or to the kid, and go from that point. But sometimes you get them where you get them. It is what it is. You get them where you get them, right? You hopefully open their brain. But the one thing I think we seem to come back to, and that I want to highlight, maybe again, I think I highlighted a little earlier, is be very careful what you put after I am blank. Be very, very careful and very selective about that, because we are nothing and we are everything all at once. Okay. So what I want to say to that too, and this is why I always, I think it's a mistake in my personal life to forsake all things religious, because I think there's a lot of truth that comes from the holy text, all of them, by the way. And one of the things is, like, if you are maybe speaking to anybody that's familiar with the biblical side of things, just go back and look at any time it says I am. What's after I am is very, very, very selective and powerful, right? When God says I am, it doesn't just say any old thing after I am. Okay, it doesn't just say, well, I am hungry today, right? No, it doesn't say that. I would invite everybody to take a look at that, right? And what you say after I am, it truly is what you are creating yourself to be. As humans, we create say humans, we create through what? Not through thought. We don't create through thought. We create through language. We create all things through language. That's what we do. We create through language. We create our world through language. I am this. That is the whole point of affirmations. That's the whole point, right? And I also want to go back to the parent-child piece of it too, because again, I believe that we've been indoctrinated, not educated, but indoctrinated into this cycle. And why the language is so important is we continue to create and recreate the reality by repeating these words and these languages and these patterns of speech, right? If you look back and you really look at it, English, as we know it, was really a language created to cast spells, right? If we really look at it, right? There's a reason why for a long time English was for the common folk, while French and other languages was for the elites, right? There's a reason for that. I would encourage you to look back at all Germanic tongues and look at like how that developed over time, if you are, so inclined. But I also, to link that back to our general topic here, I also think it, again, by design, that parents have no time to put this energy and time with their kid, right? It's
Right.
by design. And
Right.
Chris, maybe you can speak to the financial aspect of that and why we should all be entrepreneurs, or at least seek to be entrepreneurs at some point in our life. But topic for another day, right? It's by design that we have no time once you have a kid. It's by design that we don't, parents don't, they have to get a babysitter. They have to. Like, how do you live life otherwise? Well, how do you live this life otherwise? The one we've agreed on as a society that we see, right? We can't do it without a babysitter. You can't do it without this unless you start to break and I think once you start on the path, you start to break all, you almost kind of like can't stop. You got to keep breaking all of these things. And I would, anybody that's read 1984, right? There's and as a George Orwell, by the way, guys, 1984, and I think back to how he describes the children and the relationship between the parent and the child, where the parent is no longer the parent, right? The parent is kept so busy that immediately after the child is born, the child is handed over to the state to raise. I just listen. That's not that absurd. We're living that right now. Right? I always find it funny when people are like, "Oh, it's such a crazy." It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy at all. How many times you see kids that are born and parents just don't have the time? So what do? They turn them over to the state so they can be what? Educated. Sorry, so they can be educated and what? Ultimately made to be a good little worker for the system, right? So it's not, they don't really care if your kid actually flourishes to the best of their ability. They care if your kid is a good worker and can function in society. So as parents, unless you've been exposed like we have to some of these things in a particular area and that you can pick up the pattern and place it in other areas, I think we're doomed. I want to end on something more positive, but that's it.
But that's not gonna happen. But that's 1,000% right. It's 1,000% right. You hit the nail on the head, right? We're doomed if parents don't, if they don't pick this up. I thought that we saw it or that we would understand it from 2020, when parents had to take control of their children's education. I thought we were going to see a turning point there, because before that point, we had sloughed it off on the teacher. All right, you go raise my child, teach her everything she needs to know, teach him everything he needs to know. Here, school, kick him back to me and everything should be done. Right? That's how parents were operating, because like you said, they had to work, they had to go clean and cook food and whatever the case is. The city isn't set up properly, their babysitter is over there, their daycare is over there, the work is over there. They have no time to pay attention to it. So they could slough it off and say, hey, you know what? There you go. School, raise my child for me. And so, right, and not being harsh on the parents. Again, understanding, right, don't have the time. But the school was taking a large load off of the parents' shoulders. I thought in 2020 it was going to change. I thought in 2020 it was going to be like, okay, now I see I have to really step in for my child's education. And I think for a lot of parents, they did realize that. But the rest of the stuff didn't change, right? The society things didn't change. Even if they shut us down for a little bit, it really didn't change. Your dry cleaner was still over there, and the daycare was still over there, and the job was still that way. And you still had to figure out how to cook and how to eat. And it made it probably a little bit harder to even do those things in the pandemic. But at the end of the day, you had to learn how to take ownership over that part of your child's life. And just like you said, Kobi, I started laughing when you said it because it's so true. Once you start kind of going your own direction, and you start taking ownership and you start kind of breaking away from the norms, it's almost like you can't stop, right? If I'm going to question the education system, and I got to question the food pyramid, I got to question the history we're taught, I got to question, right, the exercise, the books, I got to question a lot of things. As I start to take ownership over these things, start to question the whole system. Like, oh, wait, why is she going to school again? Oh, so that she could go to college? Wait, what are we doing here again? Like, you have to really break it all the way back down to the essence of like, why are we doing this? Like, what's the purpose? So again, when I think of this schooling, this education stuff, and are we equipping our children for what's up ahead? It's when these parents start understanding, it's when each person takes control of their own household, right? They take full ownership and control over their household, and the talent, skills, abilities, resources that you have and that you can build or create with your family. And that's what it comes down to. I'll go on the record again. I've said it before. My daughter may drop out of school when she's 14. If she's equipped for life, right? Then it's just about experiences. It's not about what's in the books, right? If she has a skill, she has a talent, she understands some things, she's gonna go to work. Like she's gonna go build something. She's gonna go be great, right? The earlier you can. We all wish we started our path sooner. We all wish that,
Amen.
right? So why would we hold our children back from that? If they happen to find their path earlier than us, God bless them. Drop all the other stuff. Go live life. This is what we're here to do, right? And I think as parents, we have to be okay to have that message. We have to be okay to be open-minded enough to give that to our children. And that's how the whole thing will switch, right? That's how it'll switch.
Right. You mean you're not a terrible parent if you decide to do that? Oh. But see, you see the pressure though? You see the pressure. This is why it's so difficult, because now you got friends, your peers looking at you. Wait, your kid doesn't go to school? What? Huh? What? Are you even right? Even to a level where you could potentially face some ramifications from the state, right? Well, your kid hasn't been in school and and like their children being taken away from parents for this type of stuff, right? I'm not saying you keep your kid from school, but if I'm at home actively putting my time and energy into educating my child, what the hell has that got to do with the state?
Yeah.
Right. But now it has everything to do with the
now
state.
It does. All they got to do is pass the standardized test. Like that's the homeschooling side of things, right? They pass the standardized test, they're good. But like, that's the way things are moving. Things are moving towards, we're just going to take full ownership over our lives and over our families' lives and the information that they have and what we choose to apply and practice. And I think that's how we get to that next stage of life. It's really being able to take ownership of it.
1000%.
Yeah.
I like how you highlighted the scariness of ownership and how it does it. The more you take ownership, the more it's like, man, I need to kind of make a decision on whether or not that's a good idea or not. I've heard this from the norm, but now I got to figure that out myself for my kid or for my family or for myself. And I think that intimidates a lot of people. There are even some individuals that will show up on the first time session with me, sit back and be like, okay, work your magic. And it's like, actually, this is a process where I'm going to guide you as you do a lot of this work.
Right.
Because in between our sessions is when this shit happens. Kobi, I know how you know how it is. Chris, same deal. Like, at the end of the day, like, if you want to make change in your life, you got to do it. There's nobody out there giving it to you on a silver platter, no matter what college has to say. Like, just because you get to a good college and get a degree doesn't mean you're going to get the job you wanted, which I guess I'm not allowed to say. But it's
That sounds like work, Stu. That sounds like work, man. It sounds like work.
Yeah, it sure beats working for somebody. I think the quote that always jumps out of me here is, stress is what happens when you work hard for something that you don't want. Passion is what happens when you work hard for something that you're really about. It's something along those lines.
Yeah.
So the question is, like, choose your heart. You want to work your ass off for something that doesn't fulfill you and keeps you away from being able to see your future kids. That's the main reason why I left construction management. It's because I actually wanted to see my kids in the future. So by building and going through this process now, I'm allowing myself to not have to work 60 plus hours of overtime on a job site trailer while my kids get to wake up and go to bed without even seeing me.
I don't think people think enough about that, bro, to be honest. I don't think people think enough about the family structure of their life and what they want out of that in accordance to their work.
Right? It's not normal. That's not what normal teaches. That's not what school teaches. That's not what, right? Even learning like basic like home life and physical education or like civics or whatever. It's literally teaching us how to move in society as we know it with all of our as is, right? It's not teaching us to be like, Is there anything outside of this? Could I move something outside of this, right? Because and that's the thing, guys. We are here to potentially get your brain out of that bubble, right? That's what we're here to do, right? Potentially get your brain out of that bubble. Not saying the entire system is terrible and it should all be abolished, although another episode. Okay, we're not saying what we are saying is that and I know everybody feels this. That's the thing that gets me too. I know everybody feels this. When you sit down and you have a beer with a friend, when you sit down and you have whatever it is that allows you to speak the truth, okay? Everybody I talk to is there. Right? It's like, man, I feel unfulfilled. I'm working hard. Yeah, I got my degree. Yeah, I'm doing a good job. Yeah, I'm making this much money. Yeah, I'm blah, 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 blah. But the level of unfulfillment in life, in my opinion, as I survey the land,
high,
and trending up. It's not trending down. It's trending up. That's even more concerning because if it was high and we're like trending down, okay, all right, we're improving. But it's actually trending up, and it's almost like what is a J curve? It's almost like trending up faster than it was. Exponential. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Y'all know you don't say this number there. No. And I just invite as we bring this thing to a close here for today. Y'all know we can keep this going for a while, but as we bring this to a close, I would love everybody to just pause for a second if you see this and think like, how many people you know that are truly, truly satisfied with the status quo, that are truly, truly satisfied with their normal life, that are truly, truly like just in love and on fire every single day for the life that they're living in or the life that they're creating, right? We ostracize those people. We either look up to them as some deity, like we can't do it, or we look at them, depending on what direction they go and how it lines up with society, as just like, oh, they're crazy, right? We put them out. They're beyond our reach, or they're just crazy out here somewhere, or they're like we just put them in these absurd categories. I, for one, don't look up to no man. I just don't. That's just how I was created, man. Like that's just how I am. Right? But honestly, I can legitimately say, and you can ask anybody who's known me for a long period, I don't idolize any man. I just don't. Because what I look at is like, I'm really impressed by the steps that you've taken. Good job. Like, whatever you did to get where you are, I didn't do it. That's why I'm not there. That's simple. It literally is that simple, right? But we either put them in these untouchable category or this absurd category, and we say, that's just not for me. I'm just not that way. I'm just not built that. That's nonsense, guys. We create with our words. We create with our words. So check that out and keep coming back here with us, because we're going to keep pushing the envelope a little bit as to how we're thinking about this whole good life thing.
That's right. Keep coming back, guys. Hey, if you're watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. If you see on the bottom of your screen, you see that ticker, bit.ly/email TGL, right? bit.ly/email TGL. That gets you on the email list. Guys, we got some big stuff coming up. We want to keep adding value. Hopefully this has continued to help you. I think I just died on the something just happened. But either way, we're gonna rock this out. Until next week, guys, we're gonna sign off for the good life. So enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Take care.
Peace out.
Next Wednesday. Take care.
Can you hear me?
I got you.
All right, bet.
So we are still live on this one.
Oh.
So hello, guys. If you're still here, Chris's screen is in the credits. Kobi and I are just chilling, waiting to see if there's like a post flick like scene at the end of a Marvel movie.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, audio only. Hey, he's back. Oh, there goes Chris. So how do we end this live?
Maybe let's leave the studio.
Yeah.
All right.